Sorry, I didn't start recording right in the beginning, but we're pretty much at the beginning. Go ahead, Carrie. Let Carrie read. And yeah.
God's opening words to Moses. Next one. And God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am God. And I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob by the name of El Shaddai. But my name, Havayah, was not known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land in which they lived as sojourners. And I also have heard the moaning of the Israelites because the Egyptians are holding them in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant.
Keep going. Therefore,
say to the Israelite people, I am God. I will free you from the labors of the Egyptians and deliver you from their bondage. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and through extraordinary judgments. And I will take you to my people, and I will be your God. And you shall know that I, the Lord, am your God, who freed you from the labors of the Egyptians. I will bring you into the land that I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I will give it to you for an inheritance. I am God.
Okay, so we look at this last 3 verses. It seems like it's a burst of hope. Hashem remembers and proclaims his promise to the forefathers. Says, hey, I promised them that I'm going to redeem their children. Hey, got to do that now. And so then the first few verses seem kind of lame, like leading into that. Let me just show you guys over here. Seems a little lame. I'm the God, blah blah blah. You know, this and this and that. Doesn't seem like anything very strong. So compared to the hope that's in the next verses. Well,
it's a build-up, okay?
Yeah, it's a build-up.
It's a build-up. You gotta give an intro and everything.
What's the story? What's the intro? Really, what is the intro? And we're going to go into that.
Yeah.
So Rashi then goes on with an explanation. But to understand the explanation, I want you to understand that Carrie, when she was reading, she said, let's see, where was it? The name Kel Shakai,
yeah,
and then the name Havaya. Okay, so let us first explain what that is. So God has many, many names. Different attributes of God are brought out in his different names. So he's saying here that the name Kel Shakai, which really the first K is really an aleph, like, but we can't say the name straight out. We don't want to say Hashem's name.
Right.
And even in the second word, the second K is really should be a dalet, like the letters that are on the mezuzah,
right,
in the front of the mezuzah. So that is one of Hashem's name, and that's the name that the forefathers knew him by. Now, the name Havaya comes from the letters of Hashem's name that make up Yud K, right, Vav K, like whatever. That's a very holy name of God, and we have to understand what that name means. Okay, so till now, the forefathers and everyone only knew the name Kel Shakai. We don't really discuss what that exactly means, but the name Havaya, it comes from the idea of trustworthiness and emphasizing Hashem fulfills his promise that we trust in Hashem.
You know why? Because he says, how are you? How are you? He's always interested in how we're doing. How are you?
Okay.
I'm laughing.
Okay. So so what we're saying here, or the pasuk is saying, the verse is saying, is that the forefathers did not know Hashem from a place of trustworthiness that they knew he's going. Not that they didn't think he will, but they didn't know his name as an attribute that he's trustworthy and whatever he says he's going to fulfill. They only knew him from a different place.
Wait,
why? Yeah.
Well, he sort of fulfilled because he said to Abraham, "I'm going to make a big nation from you."
So that's a good question. Yeah. Did he? So, but they didn't see it in their lifetime. Yeah, he had a child, he had a few children, but they didn't actually see the next part. So they said, I'll give you the land of Israel. Your children will live there. Right. But until that happens, it's only this generation. So that is exactly what we're saying.
He even said he'd make Ishmael a great person.
Nation. Yeah, right. Rubber, right, Keturah and Rubber,
Right.
they had, she had a few children, yeah, but like, to see the whole nation, to see that they were freed from slavery, all that stuff
whole thing.
was not really, so
Okay.
he promised the forefathers all these things, but they didn't get to actually see the promise. So not that they didn't trust him, not that they wasn't trustworthy,
Okay.
but
I thought you
didn't
meant trust.
see that part of it.
Oh,
They didn't
okay.
see that come to
Well, so they
fruition.
trusted him, but they didn't get to live long enough to see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so
I
that's
have a question. Kel Shakai, the other one, Kel Shakai,
What does it
does
mean?
that name represent?
a good question. I did not find out exactly. but,
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought I missed it. I
did not mention it, and I know, like I started to look, like it wasn't in my notes, in the notes that I have here about the class.
is that more like you fear him
No,
or?
yeah, it's just a name of one of the 72 names. No?
I have to look, I'll try to look it up. Okay, I'll try to, maybe I have an answer for this class. Okay, then I'll let you know. Okay, 2A.
And I
Sandra, you read?
appeared to the patriarchs by the names of Kel Shakai. I made certain promises to them, and in the case of all of these, I said unto them, I am Shel Shakai. But by my name Havaya, I was not known to them. I was not recognized by them in my attribute of keeping faith, because of which my name is called. Okay, gentlemen.
Oh, keep going. No, just something else you did.
Sorry. I was not recognized for them in my attributes of keeping faith, because of which my name is called Havaya. This particular name denounced that I am certain to substantiate. Thank you. Substantiate my promise. Indeed, I made promise to them, but did not fulfill them during their lifetime.
That's what we just said.
Okay, that's what
Okay,
we
so
just
we
said.
So-
Okay.
So the correct explanation, it sounds.
Yeah,
like
because we see it, but
Right.
Then he goes on to explain the rest of the verse. So Rashi doesn't end and say, okay, that's a nice explanation, we're done. He continues and has more explanation. Okay, so let's read. He explains what the verses actually mean. So let's go to the next text.
you want me to
Okay,
continue?
Eileen, you want to read it?
Therefore, okay. Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of.
Therefore, in accordance with that promise, say to the Israelite people, I am God who is faithful in my promise. I will free you, for so did I promise them, and afterward shall they go out with great substance.
Okay, so the word in quotations is like the word from the pasuk and the verse, and then what's after that is how Rashi explains it. So in accordance to what we read beforehand, so then so in accordance to the promise, Hashem was faithful to the promise, like the name that he uses that shows that he's faithful. He'll fulfill the promise, and the Jews will go out with great, something great. Okay, so Moshe takes this and he goes back to Pharaoh. And he says to them, okay, let my people go. And then the whole thing with the plagues and this and that, and the whole Exodus begins from over here. Okay. So we're going to go back to the Rashi and try to explore it a little more. Now I'm just going to say there are a lot of questions. We don't really need to understand all the back and forth questions because it is a little bit confusing. So we're going to try to just like gloss over a little bit and we'll get to the meat of the lesson because that's what's important right now. Okay. So Rashi that we read till now is actually the end of the Rashi. He now brings down a midrash. Now, so as we said before, if you look on the thing over here, Rashi. Sorry, I know what I just did. I just do something. Oh, I did do something. No, I didn't. Okay. Okay, the Torah mentions the patriarchs and their relationship with Hashem as an introduction and a rationale for why God will redeem the Jewish people. It connects their redemption to Hashem's promise to the patriarchs, showing how this moment is a fulfillment of those other commitments. Okay, beautiful. So that is Rashi's first explanation, what we just read. Now Rashi continues. He, instead of just say, okay, that's good, now he starts to explain what the first verses that we read today were, the ones that seemed more like lame or not so exciting. So let us read what that is. Okay, Shelley, you want to do it?
Sure. And Moses returned to God and said, God, why have you brought harm to this people? Why have you sent me? From the moment I have come to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has harmed this people, and you have not saved your people.
That is the actual, okay, that's the actual verse from the Torah, and this is what Rashi says about it. Okay, you continue, Shelley.
Okay. Our rabbis expounded this section as referencing what precedes it. What Moses said, "Why have you brought harm to this people?" God told him, "Alas, for those who are gone, i.e., the patriarchs, and are no longer, I have reason to grieve the death of the patriarchs. Many a time did I reveal myself to them by the name Kel Shakai, and not once did they ask me, 'What is your name?' But you said, if they ask, 'What is his name?' what shall I say to them? Also, I set up, etc. And yet, when Abraham wished to bury Sarah, he could not obtain a grave until he purchased one at a high price. So, too, in the case of Isaac, people fought with him for possession of the wells that he had dug. Similarly, of Jacob, it stated, he purchased a parcel of field in which to pitch his tent, yet none of them criticized my dealings with them, while you say, 'Why have you brought harm to this people?'"
So now Rashi brings on this midrash and says, hey, Moshe, he's complaining, he's like challenging Hashem, why are you doing this? What's going on over here? And Hashem says, you know what? No one ever else did that. No one else ever did that to me. Abraham, he went through some difficult times and he just did it with a smile. He just did it. That's what he had to do. He just did it. He didn't complain. He wasn't a fetch. Yitzchak, he went through some difficult times. He didn't fetch. He didn't complain and say, why? Moshe, why are you saying why? Why are you challenging? No one else ever challenged me. So the question is, why does Rashi bring this down as an explanation? Because usually we said Rashi usually just likes to do the plain meaning of the verse. And this is a medrash. A medrash always means that it's something more deep, something more, I want to say homily, whatever it is. So why does Rashi need to bring this down? What do we gain from it? Okay. So now we're going to continue, and Rashi goes even.
Rashi telling us not to be whiners.
What? No, he's not.
Oh, okay, good. Phew.
And these are thousands of years
I
ago.
want to remain a whiner.
Different.
Now we're going to continue with Rosh.
Just want to make
Yeah.
sure.
Did you say me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't hear what your voice said. Okay. However, this midrashic exposition does not fit in with the text for several reasons. First, because the verse does not state, and they did not ask of me regarding my name, Havaya. Moreover, how does this interpretation fit within the context of the following verses? And also I have heard, therefore say to the Israelite people, etc. Therefore I say, let the verse be explained according to its literal sense, so that each statement fits into its proper setting, and let the midrashic exposition be expounded, as it is stated. My words are like fire, says God, and like a hammer shatters a rock into many sparks.
Okay, so this is very interesting because Rashi gives two explanations, and then he says, "Oh, but the second explanation isn't really a good explanation." So who does it? Oh, here's the answer to your question. Oh no, that's not a good answer.
A lot of engineers do that.
Yeah, right.
A lot of
And it's
engineers.
Talmud
Yeah.
learners.
I mean,
People-
I have a better
Talmud.
answer.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of funny. Hey, here's
Exactly.
the answer for you. No, no, it's not the answer.
As you're thinking as you're speaking it.
Okay.
Right.
So, why would Rashi bring down a commentary and then kind of nix it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. What
Why?
we do want to do is look at the end of the commentary where it says, "My words are like fire," says God, "and like a hammer shatters a rock into many sparks." Okay, we're gonna kind of zero in on that part of the Rashi. Okay. So so those last words of Rashi that I just reread, the ones in the quotes, are actually it's a verse from I got it from the Talmud, but Rashi doesn't bring down the whole thing over here. Okay. What it's saying is it's talking about shattering rocks, like just like when you right, if you try to break a rock, I don't know if you can just bang it down on the floor and it'll shatter. You have to use something else to make it, shatter more. Just shatters and goes all over the place, different sizes, different this, different that. Or it's kind of like fire that goes out, like sparks come out of fire, and also just goes all over the place. Okay, so what the Talmud is telling us is that Torah is like that. Torah you have the Torah, it's all nice and good, but then there's so many different facets, so many different layers of the Torah. It's like sparks flying
explode,
out.
yeah.
Each one, no, not explode, but each one is different. Each one goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Each one takes on a different path. Each one gives you a different answer. Each one has a different level or a different layer of understanding the Torah. So there are multiple explanations
Right.
on one point in the Torah.
Every year is and the different parshas, different explanations in it.
Okay, so let's first
Yeah.
read text number. Okay, so text number 6.
Mhm.
Okay, Esther, Valentina, want to read it?
Sure. I'm from my phone, so
No problem.
so the school of Rabbi Yershemael taught like a hammer, shattered a rock. Jeremiah 23:29. Just as this hammer breaks a stone into several fragments.
Okay, so it's showing the Talmud has, I mean, the Torah has many different layers. And so let us continue to see what that means.
Oh,
Okay.
I can do a
yes.
short one.
Well, she just did a short. Is there another short one? Okay, give me a minute.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of
We have a bunch of short ones coming.
Okay, so
What does that mean, this rock thing?
what does this mean? That's rocking. Okay, so first, it's a two-step metaphor. Let me, it might be on the next page. Okay. Okay, and also Rashi doesn't even quote the exact the main source. He changes. He deviates from it, and okay, so that's not so important. Okay, so first he compares the Torah to fire, and then he compares fire to a stone. Okay, yeah, right here. Okay. Okay, so just like a stone shatters and falls into many pieces, so does a fire emit many sparks.
Mm-hmm.
But so the way a stone, I guess, shatters and the way a fire starts is a little bit different type of spray or shatter or burst. Okay, what is the difference between them? Let's see.
I mean, the spread is different?
Yeah, the spread is different and also
Spread.
how they break. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's first read text 7a, and you bet you want to
I'll give you one line, yeah.
Secondly,
And God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am God.
I have to make sure my car's
Oh, sure, go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
okay, let's just go back to this for a second, this picture. Okay, Torah is not just like not just like a stone splitting into pieces, it's like a fire spraying sparks in all directions. So the stone, usually when you break it, all falls pretty close in the one area, but sparks, as we know from our fire over here, it can go very, right, the sparks can fly very far, people can find embers or things very far away.
Yes.
So that is the difference between the why they had to bring out not just the stone, but also the fire. Okay. Like this. Okay, now this is very interesting. Okay, now we're going to look at, and we're going to bring it all together soon, but now we're going to look at the first words that we read from the parsha this week. The actual words that Yvette just read it in English, but in Hebrew, Vayedaber Elohim. Okay, Vayedaber means and he spoke. Elohim is one of the names of God. There are different ways to say and he spoke and he said and he whatever. I don't know the exact English translation, but there's Vayedaber, there's Vayomer, there's Vayikra, which means that he called. There's all different kinds of things. When the Torah uses the word Vayedaber, it connotes like a harshness. Okay, it's a strong speaking.
Or Vayedaber.
Yeah, Vayedaber.
Okay.
Yeah. When the word Elohim connotes severity, connotes judgment. It's the name of Gevurah, the name of severity of godliness. So when you have both of those words together, Vayedaber Elohim, it's showing Hashem spoke in a very harsh way. He's showing his attribute of harshness. So why is this? Well, and not just that, we don't see this so often in the Torah, that both of these words of harshness are together. The God's name that shows severity and the word Vayedaber. Sometimes have Vayomer Elohim, whatever it is, but here it's Vayomer Hashem, but here it's Vayedaber Elohim. It's two words of harshness. So what is going on? And now let's see what Rashi says about it. Okay, Anna, can you read?
Yep.
Yes.
And God spoke to Moses. He spoke harshly with him because he had spoken so brazenly when he said, "Why have you brought harm to this people?"
Okay, so now let's look back at the opening conversation. Okay, why did Hashem speak? Why did Hashem answer like Moshe or speak to Moshe harshly? Hashem's reprimanding Moshe. He said, "Hey, like we said before, the forefathers never complained, but and always took everything in stride and just did what they had to do and just did whatever was expected of them. And you,
Have a couple of cold ones.
Mark, I'm gonna mute you. Okay, that you are challenging me, okay? So then the question is, why don't we see that actual conversation in the Torah, in the verse, in the actual sukkim, the actual verses in the Torah? We only see that in the Midrash. We only see that in the commentary. We don't see the conversation where Moshe is complaining to Hashem and saying, why are you doing this? You know, this is difficult. We only see that Hashem answers him harshly.
Oh, he does say, "Why do you do this to the people?" Right? I think he does. Moshe does say, what are you doing, God?
Oh no, but it doesn't.
He does say something to invoke the response. Because God responds. It's not a, you know what I'm saying? You have to say something for God to respond that way. He does say something. Yeah, he does.
Right, he does say something, but I guess more of the conversation isn't there.
Well, the whole conversation isn't there, but you can understand, like, what if he spoke harshly back, you say, "Hey, what the heck did you do, God?" He did. He does say that.
But he doesn't say, "Oh, the forefathers."
Oh, he doesn't go into detail, right?
Right, I doesn't think go much into detail.
He just say,
double check
okay,
just to make sure.
Okay, sure.
No,
Wait.
Here. Okay. Yeah, no, but I guess it doesn't go much. It doesn't say, "Oh, the forefathers didn't say."
No, it doesn't. No, it never does
That doesn't go much into detail.
Right.
So the question is, why not? Why doesn't it say more of that conversation in the actual Torah?
I think you don't need it.
It seems like there's something missing. Okay. So that's why Rashi brings down that, Moshe complained and Hashem responded to him and all that stuff. Okay. So that's why Rashi brings down this metaphor of the fire and the stone. Okay. Because everything written in the Torah, as we said before, is multi-layer. Okay. So there's the plain meaning, the pshat, and that's usually what Rashi tries to do. He just tries to explain the plain meaning of the Torah, just the simplest, most understandable meaning. And then there's like the homiletic and the deeper meanings of the Torah, the drash. And that's what midrash comes from, the word drash. Okay, so it's not that one explanation is right or one explanation is wrong, right? You have different rabbis saying different explanations at different parts of the Torah. It doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. It just depends on what level or what layer you're looking at to try to explain it. Are you looking at it from a deeper place? Are you looking, sometimes we have in our classes the wine of the Torah, or you just want to see what's the plain meaning. If you just look at it, point blank, straightforward, what does that mean? Okay, so. And this ties us back to the sparks, okay? There's two main differences between the stone and the fire. So we said the stone, I mentioned before, the stone shatters mostly in one place and sparks fly in different directions. And the pieces of stone, when they break apart, they're all different shapes and sizes, but sparks are more or less the same, not the embers, but the sparks itself. Okay, so it's like, you ever listen to a song or read a poem, and if you just look at the plain, or I would say that, right, there's many classical books like that. You read it, there's a plain meaning. But then if you go deeper, there's really a underlying
message.
Like the Beatles lyrics.
Right. Or the like that animal farm, right? It's only the whole thing about the communism, something like that. So same thing. the same thing with the Torah. The Torah is much deeper than that, and much more layers than that. But there's so on one hand, sometimes someone says, "Oh, so what does that mean? What is the story? What's the story about? Or what's that song about?" So then you want to give them the plain, right, meaning. But they say, "Oh, what's the deeper message?" Then you want to give them maybe the deeper message of that.
Yeah, sure.
Of that thing.
Depends on Rebbe.
Right. So when the Torah, when Rashi is saying, "I just want to give them the plain meaning of this," then this doesn't make sense or whatever it is. You sometimes want to give one type of explanation, and sometimes you want to give a different type of explanation.
depends what the person, depends what the receiver is looking for.
Exactly.
The
Right.
receiver is looking
That's
for.
yeah, exactly.
Right, or depending
On the
on
teacher.
the, like, the.
Yeah, the
capacity
second,
of
exactly.
of
The
the
receiver.
receiver,
Oh,
right?
exactly.
Are they intellectual enough, or are they mature enough,
No,
are
what-
they, you know?
Forget me.
Oh, they have a moon enough.
Right, exactly.
And oh, then you know, no, it
Right.
really
It
depends.
matters.
So the final metaphor shows that both the pshat, the plain meaning, and the drash, the deeper meaning, are both indispensable. They're both needed, but at different levels. So sometimes there's a missing piece that we don't understand according to the plain meaning, and we'll only understand it through the deeper meaning, through the drash. Okay, and so that is why Rashi gives that medrash, that deeper explanation, but then he says, oh, but this doesn't explain it well. Why? Because if you're looking at it to understand just the plain meaning, then the basic level, and the second explanation isn't going to help you. But if you're looking for a deeper answer, then this explanation will be of help. And it's okay, because, you know, Rashi teaches us about the fight, and then at the end he says, oh, but there's the sparks and the rocks. Because,
Exactly.
yeah, and
Okay.
this level you're not going to understand it, but there is explanation. This is a deeper, this is a
Sure,
deeper explanation.
you need to stay long in the fader.
All right. Exactly.
So are we in 9?
Okay, so
Okay.
not yet. No,
Okay.
we're going to be
A little
8 soon.
slow.
Okay.
So what do we do? So with that question in the beginning, what do we do with questions in Judaism that we don't really have answers for, or we don't understand? Or someone says, oh yeah, this is the answer. Like, why do we say the blessing, for example? Why do we say the blessing in the morning that God has not made me? Oh, we don't say it, but there is a blessing that men say, God has not made me a woman, right?
Thank you.
And some people are very
Oh, they get so
yeah.
mad. Like,
Say,
thank you, Hashem, for making you a woman.
there's a plain, simple explanation, and there's a deeper
Yeah.
explanation.
There'll be
stuff
no,
like that.
there'll be no next
Yes.
generation. There'll be no next generation. If the man was a woman, forget no babies.
Right. So there's some
And they're just argumentative people.
no, but
And they're not happy with
there's
who
a
they
woman,
are. And they're
there's
not
a
happy with who they are.
But
And they
no,
don't
but
like
as a
them.
woman, that does sound very
Well, on a
derogatory.
superficial, what she says on a superficial level.
I know superficial. But you're gonna learn.
Right.
But it's
Right.
That means that we don't have answers for it. We've heard answers, maybe
Yeah, right.
they're not good enough for us, or whatever it is.
Right.
So Rashi himself has the same problem. That's text number 8.
Yeah, but I think what Cassandra's saying is before you get mad, think a little bit before you get mad. Think of it.
It's the Rockefellers. It's the women's lib.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
What's the story? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why this.
Oh, yeah, it's just, you know, yeah.
So now let us read.
This is the one thing I do have an issue with. Is the mother switching the kids
Oh,
and
kids.
putting the fur on one of the kids. This is
Oh,
yeah, it's like, how are you gonna cheat on your husband with the children?
Cheat on the husband.
You know, she's lying. She's making her kids lie.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Lashon Hara on the mother of Jacob and
Wait,
Esau.
I tell you, he sold it early.
Yeah,
Okay, guys, it's hard for them to hear. What
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, Carrie, you want to do the next number 8?
Mother.
Well, I know, but can I read the top?
Oh, you can read the top. Yeah.
This is questions are windows to exploration.
Okay,
I do not know.
that's right.
Text 8. Mother of Jacob and Esau. I do not know what the addition of these words is intended to tell us.
So there are more than one places, but here's one in the Torah where Rashi puts in his commentary, I do not know what this is supposed to tell us, or I don't know what this means.
He says that?
He says that right here, number 8.
Wow.
He says that in connection with the story that you just actually
Yeah, I
mentioned.
don't.
When it says Rivka, who was the mother of Yaakov and Esau, he said, I don't know what these mean.
But that's why we count on the women's wisdom.
Right.
Okay, so Rashi himself does this, and what? So is it to show that he's really humble and honest, and he really doesn't know the answer, and so he just says, "I don't know what the answer is," or second possibility,
Something deeper.
Something deeper.
Something deeper.
I can't explain this on a simple shot level. I know the deeper meaning to this.
Right.
I know the meaning that from the midrashic point of view or from some other point of view, but not from the plain meaning point of view. Okay, and that's maybe he says I don't know the meaning. I don't know it from the simple point of view. Okay, text number 9.
The explanation when Rashi says he does not know, he means, I do not know how to explain this in a plain meaning, which is Rashi's methodology, explaining the text according to its plain meaning. However, on the other layer of understanding, such as homiletically, I do not know how, I do know an explanation, since it is outside of his preferred methodology. He says he doesn't know.
Just a deeper answer. I can give you that answer, but I can't really explain it simply just yet.
Just like he said.
Eventually he'll figure out how to explain it
Okay.
simply, but not at this moment. Okay. So sometimes you have kids and they say why? And they say, why this? Why that? Why that? And you can't always answer them
Yeah.
directly because either it's something they shouldn't know or it's something that's hard to explain on their
Yeah.
level. So you might say, oh, when you're older, you'll understand. When
Yeah.
you're older, we'll give you the answer. When you're older,
Right.
you'll learn about it. And that's okay. It's okay as long as they know that there is an answer, but maybe not something on their level yet. So so Rebbe talks about this. Second.
Oh, here, you
Okay, I
understand.
got that. Now,
Yeah.
It's
Here
trying
it
to get
is.
over
Yeah,
it, sit
yeah.
on the top. You understand?
Right.
Get over it.
Yeah,
text
yeah.
number.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Eileen, you want to do it?
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, we see this approach in practice when teachers tell their students, when you get older, you'll understand. My teacher would say this, and it's probably the case with others, and probably even with the children who are here now and want Mashiach now. Their teachers surely tell them or will tell them the same thing. This is similar to Rashi saying, I do not know. What he means is this: don't think just because you don't understand something now, you'll never be able to understand it. No, this is not true. When you grow older, you'll learn about allegorical meaning, homiletical meaning, mystical meaning, and then you'll understand.
Good to ask questions.
Thank you.
It's for the learning process for students to ask and make them wonder and try to figure out what it is, and to know that there's still more to learn. They didn't just finish learning about this. The questions are like windows. They show that what you found an opening to something much deeper, right? Exploration, like something, hey, something's here, there's a crack. Let me see if I can get it. And that's what's so good about explanation. Now, sometimes there's other questions in life that would say, hey, why? Why is this happening to us? Why did God do this? What's with October 7th? Why are we having this horrible war? Why what's going on in Israel? Why what's going on over here? Why what's going on over there? We can't really answer. So, and it's the same idea. Let us read text number 11. This is written by a rabbi who is actually, many years ago, he actually was, I think, a counselor in our camp before I was even here. Very close friend of Lovitansky's, and he was a Rosh Yeshiva. He passed away, I think, maybe 2 years ago, very young.
Oh.
But he was Rosh Yeshiva, head of yeshiva in Toronto. Actually, my son Mahmoud went to that yeshiva. Okay, so let's read text number 11. Shelley, we'll let you do this one.
Sure. What's going on? How can that be? How is that possible?
Sorry, let me just preface this. That he said this after. Do you remember when the Chabad Rabbi Rebbetzin in Mumbai were killed?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So this is after this happened. This is what he wrote. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Shelley.
That's okay. The answer is we don't know. We don't know the answer. It can't be. It's impossible. The Talmud says it can't be. Impossible. But af al piken, nonetheless, it happened. The questions are all there, but that's how it is. We get another lesson in the limitation of our intellect. We have calculations, logical ones, Torah-based ones, that we are certain about, and we have a license to be. We know certain things can't happen. You're right, says the Talmud, but af al piken, nonetheless, it happened. We cry out in unimaginable pain, in frustration, in anger, and in shocked disbelief. But then we bow our heads in humility and we accept. We move forward because one of the basic foundations of our religion is the conviction that God is infinite, and it would be arrogant and foolish for us to even dream of understanding him. And from time to time, things continue to happen that don't make sense in our book, that don't even seem to make sense in his book, and nonetheless they happen. And we can only turn our tearful eyes heavenwards and ask, it happened. We accepted.
Yeah,
Isn't it time to let us understand? Isn't it time for the era when, as Isaiah says, we will thank you for having been wrathful with us?
Okay, actually, I just listened to a podcast with Rachel Goldberg Poland today. Someone interviews her and speaks with her for a nice long thing about how she dealt in dealing with, from when her son was, taken hostage till he was killed, and then just even after that. So very kind of also apropos, and she also speaks very
Wow.
with lots of
Ay.
I'd say faith and strength. So learning Torah makes you think, right? It puts the questions in your brain, so you should search for the right answers. And we are going to end off.
But that's what we're going like all these fires. They're not all Jews. They're not Jews too. I mean, you asked about the fires too, but all these houses that are gone and
Very sad, yeah.
and it's very, I mean, anything doesn't have to be just to Jews. I mean, all these terrible fires, tsunamis, or anything, right?
Yeah.
Anything.
Okay, so the Rebbe now finally closes it up and explains it. In text number 12. Let's see who wants to read. Catherine, you're up to reading again?
Sure. The unity of Torah is such that even though each area of Torah has its distinct place and operates within its own set of rules, it remains intrinsically connected to the whole. As part of God's Torah, which is likened to fire, an entity that transcends distinction and embodies the attribute of indivisibility, every aspect of Torah is interconnected in its entirety. This unity is so profound that insights essential for understanding the plain meaning can be found within the homiletical dimension of Torah. I actually had a thought about something that connects to what I just read. The fire, obviously Moses got to see the burning bush and see Hashem face to face, even though the forefathers didn't. And the rock ended up being his downfall, the punishment why he couldn't enter Eretz Israel. So it's interesting they acknowledge the rock and fire.
Yes, very deep. Oh wow, wow. But you also look at the rock as the
Black
the
rock.
Ten Commandments, the two tablets where they were the Ten
Yes.
Commandments on. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Wow. And which was shattered, which he threw on the ground and shattered.
Right.
when
Yes,
the
that's
Jews
true.
were
There you go.
sitting with the egg with the
Wow.
cat. Yeah, so a very good lesson for us. When we have questions, it doesn't mean that something's wrong. It
Yeah.
just means that we have to dig deep. There's something deeper there.
Good.
Great lesson for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just reminding you all that the women's luncheon is in a week from this coming Sunday.
Right.
The price goes up after next Wednesday. Unless you want to
How
be a
much is it
sponsor,
now?
which is great. Right now it's $45. It's gonna go up to $60.
Whoa.
If anyone wants to do a sponsorship, there's sponsorship opportunities on
What's the date, sorry?
February 2nd.
February 2nd.
Is that Groundhog's Day?
What time?
It's at 1 o'clock.
That's
We have a lot of delicious food.
Groundhog
We have
Day.
a great violinist coming and a
Wow.
great speaker, a fun speaker. We also are, I'll show you guys this here in person. I'll show you guys in 1 second, guys. I'm gonna show you something.
$40 now and
45,
$60.
45.
Wow.
45.
Can we have a senior discount?
Yeah, that's not exact.
Okay, you're gonna have an opportunity if you'd like to make your
Oh,
own,
that's so
board,
pretty.
different options. Then you're going to
Oh,
put some dried fruit on it, so you'll have it for Tu B'Shvat.
Oh, that's so cute.
So a lot of fun stuff
Oh,
at the luncheon. Sign up yourself, sign up a friend, get some other people about it. I posted the links and the pictures on the WhatsApp group. If you want me to send it to you directly, I can.
Yeah, my mom and I paid.
And
What time is it?
at 1 o'clock on February 2nd. And if anyone has anything that we could use for raffle, I actually have some good raffle stuff already. And I'm working on getting some more. So either like a service, if someone has some type of like nice service that women would like, or
We can do sunglasses.
Okay,
We're always
Nice. Thank
good
you.
for a pair of sunglasses.
Nice, Eileen.
yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
I might toss.
Okay.
My mom and I.
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm
So looking forward.
thank you.
sorry.
Thank you. Please,
Did you get my-
tell other people around.
I'm
and,
so
please tell other people.
Bye,
about it.
guys.
Okay.
nice to see you all.
Bye.
Sorry,